You are listening to the Hodges Huddle, where we discuss all things in the wide world of sports. Here's your KLSU sports team.
Welcome into the Hodges Huddle. I'm your host, Andre Champagne, and today we are joined by Addison Gonzalez, Michael Poggi. How are we doing?
Uh-oh.
We've already knocked the water bottle down.
We good, man. We good. I wouldn't say it's a magical
It's not.
Monday, but it's,
It's a Monday.
it's a Monday. It's a chill Monday. I'm hanging out. Class was good. It's raining. I almost slipped and fell on my walk over here. There were a couple people that were laughing at me.
They need a power wash, man. Because
Well, I think I just need some new grip on my shoes, but,
okay,
you
think this is
that-
shoe?
I think this is
I have
a
that.
user
I have some
problem.
trouble with that too, man. Sometimes the sidewalks out here at
Yeah.
LSU aren't too friendly.
Yeah, but I'm doing all right.
It's good.
Doing okay.
Yeah, same. I had to walk over here in the rain, so that was a little bit
Oh no.
a rough trip for me. But over the weekend, the weekend got me a little bit disappointed. So, not having a very good day.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. For all of us, we're about tired of watching the same thing every week. But let's talk about that.
Let's do it.
We're gonna have a shorter pod for this week. We're gonna update all three of LSU sports currently going on. We haven't done that in a while. So let's talk about LSU football. They were defeated by a score of 27-16, despite dominating on the stat sheet and really having the ball for 38 minutes. So let's talk about what this loss means for LSU down the line. Not even with the season, but moving forward for the program. What does this loss say about Brian Kelly just as a coach?
Well, I don't know if what this loss says about Brian Kelly is the main thing for me. I do think that he for him personally, he needs to get some things in order. He needs to get some stuff together. But I've seen a whole lot of things on social media of like the videos of him going after guys
Yep.
on the sideline. I thought what he said to Chris Hilton was very warranted and
I
valid
think so.
in my
I think
opinion.
so. I think so.
I think to an extent, that BK. I just saw that BK was getting a lot of harsh comments for that.
We'll talk about that. Yeah.
And I just think that that's kind of warranted. I think this loss for BK though just means, what are you going to do with these next 2 weeks? Because me personally, he's not on the hot seat yet. For me, he's not on the hot seat yet. Financially, it doesn't make sense to fire him. There's a bunch of things that don't make sense for you to fire Brian Kelly. But I will say that you do need to get some stuff in order, and there's a lot of things. But we said it last week. I just don't think the team's together. I don't think there's a lot of faith in one another. And so that's my thing.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that it kind of shows how all of that screaming match on the sidelines, how the team is just a hot mess completely, and Brian Kelly is really not doing anything to bring the team together either. And he also keeps using just the same excuses over and over again. Even at the press conferences, there's really nothing that he can say anymore. The media, it's the same thing over and over again. There's really there's just nothing different at every single press conference because there's nothing different that he can say anymore.
Yeah, and we actually talked about this. I don't know if we talked about this Sunday, Addie. I think we did. I said it shows his inability to get his team ready after bad losses, specifically. This team really, like Michael said, it feels like they've completely given up after that Texas A&M game. And, they were still in it, after that game. So, as far as, competing. But if you cannot get your team to play motivated, like I said, there's not going to be a shot of you winning the game in the first place. You saw that with the Saints with Dennis Allen a few weeks back, and now look at them, right? They're motivated to play for a guy that they love. So, I mean, it really makes a difference. And I don't think Brian Kelly cannot be a guy that motivates his team, but I think right now he's got a lot of work to do with just there's not many changes being made.
I will say that that's the big thing. He's got to get the locker room back on his side.
Yes.
And because it seems, just from a outsider standpoint, it seems that the locker room's just split in 3 or 4 different areas.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, that's not obviously a championship team is not going to do that. A championship team is always one team, one heartbeat. Shout out Coach O. But that's all I got.
Yeah, I mean that was going to be my next question. It was do you think Brian Kelly has lost the locker room?
Yes, but I don't necessarily think that
it's like freak out.
It's freak out mode. Yeah. I don't think it's that, because he said it. BK said it like since he got here. It's a process, and it is a process. Like you and I talked about it. LSU fans are just spoiled ever since the 2019 national championship, because if you think about it, like it doesn't like we have 4 natties. You know what I mean? It's not like we have a bunch. You know what I mean? We had 3, and the last one was in 2007.
Right.
So it's like, for me, it's like I just think that coaches are too, like, people are too accustomed of coaches just coming
demanding,
in and winning.
Yep.
Like, cool,
the new
whatever.
coaches, yeah.
But like, man, I've seen coaches be at universities, at different universities, like D1 schools, for like 7, 8, 9 years, and I think that 7, 8, 9 years gives you enough time to do everything that you want to do, recruit your way, get your guys, all that stuff. I don't think 3 years is enough time. So you gotta understand. Like, it sucks where we're at right now, but it's a long way to that top level. And he came in to a dumpster fire.
He did
a dumpster fire. So
he brought the stable like
he brought that
you're right,
that line back,
what LSU needed completely
going to that championship his first year, and that's 100%. So I won't say, like, people need to chill out on BK.
I agree.
Because I think that he is still right now the best man for this job as of right now, and until he's not, then you can go and figure it out. But right now you can't just give up on him yet.
Yeah.
I think that it's a combination of, like, other coaching staff as well, not just him. And I think that a lot of the players just aren't, like, we were comparing it to Georgia yesterday, I think, with, like, that idea that they come off of a loss and then the next week they come back better. But, like, LSU, I think the players just under the coaching of him and, like, them just not feeling that motivation to play well for each other and for, like, the school and for the coaches, they're just not feeling it anymore. So I think that's a big reason why he lost, like, the locker room and why all the arguing is happening and all of that.
Yeah, it's just really weird to look at, and it's really concerning. Like, you can't just ignore what's going on right now.
No, you can't.
And I do think that he's lost the locker room, which is really bad considering all the guys that could, end up leaving. But I mean, you like you said, the screaming at Chris Hilton, that was warranted, but for him to go and be in Nuss's ear time after time again after bad decision, the kid's already mentally not there. Like, he's already frustrated. There's no need for that 4th down play. You weren't going to win the game anyway. And he threw it, honestly, not even the worst decision. It was a one-on-one ball with Mason Taylor. And you just see him kind of like fussing at him on the sideline. I'm like, look, BK, the game is over. Save it for film. Like, you don't need to show the recruits or any of the people watching the game more of this, because you saw Kyron Lacey screaming at Brian Kelly, not a good look at all. You see Kyron Lacey screaming at Nuss, not a good look at all. And then you already watched the game, and you look at how bad the offense did.
Well, Kyron Lacey's getting like 1 target
a game.
So it's
exactly. There's a lot to be frustrated about, and you see that. But I mean, I think that falls on leadership at the end of the day. I mean, I think that is a Brian Kelly thing.
No, 100%. I just think that you lose a little bit of, like, when you don't pull him out of that Bama game, when you're down 42.
Yeah, that was just
and you
insane.
haven't pulled him, and you're letting him play the entire 4th quarter, and you're not giving Ricky or anything other shot. I don't even know if it gives you more or less of a right to do that, because I don't know if you're even putting trust in him or just saying, hey, like, what does that even do?
Yeah, what does that do for you?
Like, what does that tell your quarterback? Does that tell him that he's that he trusts me, or that he's, like, mad at me or like upset with me? And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that tells a quarterback's mind. I just think there's a lot of inside issues, and I don't think you're going to be able to fix it with this group this year. But you can fix it with different groups moving forward, because there's going to be a lot of changes in these next...
A lot of great recruits coming in.
In these next few months, there's going to be a lot of changes to this football program.
But you already saw, an LSU recruit commit, flip his commit to another SEC school. But what's next for LSU, and how do they rebound against Vanderbilt? Just moving forward for this LSU football team.
Like for this season,
like starting this week,
okay.
The mindset is.
You got to first of all, you got to focus on recruiting. Recruiting, you got to make sure that you knock down on the recruiting and get that done.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, you just got to. You're 0-0. You know what I mean? 0-0. Win these next 2 games. Get a an okay bowl game. Get us.
You got to win out. You really
get
do.
us out of the ReliaQuest Bowl for another year, please. I just, maybe a Cheez-It Bowl. Maybe a
maybe Music City.
Yeah.
Go to a bowl game that's not in Florida.
I
this
don't want
year.
to watch the Tax Slayer Bowl either. Okay, what I mean?
The Gator Bowl.
Yeah, get me in something, a little bit. But on all jokes aside, I think that you need to go into this game on Saturday and
be mad.
But also don't even think about it. Don't even in 1 year out the just go play football.
Yeah.
You're not playing. You've got nothing to play for now other than your pride. You're just gonna you're gonna let Vanderbilt walk into your house on Saturday night in Death Valley.
Yep.
And beat you.
Yeah. No, that's
no.
You're right.
Come on, man.
Yeah. At this point, I think it's the kind of thing where, we can't fix those mistakes that keep happening since the beginning of the year. And at this point, I think we just have to have the motivation to want to actually put in the effort into these games and not be all over the place in a mess like we were at Florida. And I think that is a really big factor of winning a game or not winning a game, is that wanting to win a game, for the players to actually want to win the game. And yeah, that can just make or break the game. So I think going into this Vanderbilt game, obviously we've went this whole season with the same mistakes over and over again, and that's he's been saying we're gonna fix it, and it's not getting fixed. So I think at this point we just need to
hope the players step up, right?
Yeah.
I agree. And Brian Kelly has talked about preparation. We were prepared for this Florida game. You were not prepared.
He also
said they were not prepared, right, for Alabama. So what?
And then he also said that if you watch a quarterback the way I watch Garrett Nussmeier, man, he's gonna have a big day, a big old.
You might want to turn on that TV.
You might want to watch this game, man. And then I watched that game. Yeah. Honestly, I'm just tired of the lies.
But I think it starts with the preparation. This week, I think. For Brian Kelly specifically, you have to be there for your players as a start, because 3 losses like that back to back. I know as a player what I would probably give about 60% effort from there on, because you have nothing to play for at that point. You're playing for your draft stock at that point, and you don't want that to happen because that's selfish. And so I think he's got to find a way to back a lot of his guys. Stop the frustrations on the sideline. During practice, you want to get their intake on what they're comfortable running offensively, so that gives Joe Sloan a clue, to some extent. Give them a voice. Especially both defensively and offensively. You want guys that are comfortable on the football field. You don't want to, like you said, half of the defense thought they were running one play and half of the defense thought they were running another play. You can't have that. Just run simple things. Stop confusing things. This is starting to turn into last year.
But then they on offense, then they run
the same plays.
All right, here before we move on.
We got to move on soon. But
Joe Sloan, if we run the ball on 2nd and long up the gut one more time, we're gonna have a problem. Okay, just use your outside All-Americans for me just once, please. Thank you. Sorry.
You're okay. Let's move on, though. The women's basketball team, at the time of recording, actually, they will be playing Troy tonight. They struggled against Murray State for quite some time, but the Tigers in Kilmulkey, they get last year Poa back. So let's talk about, what kind of progress they've made so far this season. And just like, we've expected, we talked about it last week, Flau'jae Johnson has been the anchor for this team.
Stud.
Anissa Morrow also been very consistent.
Stud.
How would you evaluate their performances thus far?
I mean, great. It's what you need, expect. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talked about it. Flau'jae's got to be the person all year.
Yep.
She's got to be the one who is consistent for you, who's getting your buckets, and hopefully there's not a night where she's not herself, she's not on. But if that is the case, Anissa Morrow, Michaela Williams, like you got to do your things, and so I think that's when it comes into play, and I like to see that out of those three.
I think that they're the kind of players that like genuinely want to be playing the game, unlike LSU football. And
shots.
It shows that like they genuinely put in their work, and they have like that player development that like if they start out in the beginning of the season they started out strong, but like they just get better and better, and they actually put in the work that needs to be put in.
I think Anissa Morrow has been very consistent for this LSU team, and I think I think personally she needs more touches. Especially in games where Flaugier isn't on, for sure. And Flaugier, by the way, in that Murray State game was phenomenal. She just didn't get the touches in the first half that she needed, and that's why LSU struggled. Like, it's so simple. Get the ball in your best player's hands. It's so simple. But also being able to give Anissa Morrow the ball more, it opens your offense up just because Anissa is able to do a lot of things, and she's able to shoot from pretty much anywhere within the arc. So I think Flaugier has been outstanding, but like I said, we're going to have to see more opportunities for both of those players. But talk about the depth on this team. We've seen many nights already that they've had 5+ players score in double digits in the same games. So how will having all those rotation players benefit this team down the line? You kind of talked about it. You said,
yeah. I mean, like they all
have options.
Yeah, they all got to be. They all got to be on, like I said, but you do have people to kind of lean on. Like
right.
you've got obviously Flaugier, but you can like you just
rely
said, you've
Michaela.
got other people. So I think that's really important for the Lady Tigers. I think that it's as long as you're getting people touches, and you haven't really, the schedule hasn't gotten super hard yet, but just to see
week.
that, next week is where it gets real. Hopefully tonight they do that same thing where they get everybody in the starting lineup,
right.
The ball, moving it around, because when you play those games like that, you want to see
the
other players
scoring.
get 14 points, 15 points. Like it's cool to see 25. 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's what you want. That's what you want to see.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that as a team, like having 5+ players that are like the good leading players is so much more impressive than having like one player that if they're not having a good night, the whole team's not having a good night. So I think that as a team,
exactly.
That's what's really impressive of our team is that we have so many good players rather than just a few.
Exactly. Because if you have more than 5 players that can actually go and score, you know how easy it's going to be in games just to close out? Like, as far as, hey, if they're doubling Flaugier, which they're going to be doing sometimes when she drives to the paint, you can kick out to the 3 where you most likely are going to make that shot because you have the shooters on your team. You have the Kaylin Gilberts. You have the Michaela Williams. Like, you have the options. And another thing is, look at it from a foul standpoint. If LSU goes into foul trouble, which was something they really got into trouble a lot last year, if they do that this year, honestly, I think they're fine. Like, maybe not with Flaugier in foul trouble, but with other players, they can play a lot more aggressive, and they can afford some of those early fouls just to kind of set the tone, I guess, because they can have so many rotations in the game. But Poa comes back.
Yes.
So what do you expect from her return, and what do you think she adds to the team this year? We haven't seen her since the offseason, really. Saw her a few minutes in this past game, but what do you expect from her this year?
It's going to start off slow, I think. But for the year, I'm just expecting her to play good defense.
Yep.
Solid defense, hitting a couple shots here and there for you. But I think defensively is going to be her best strength. Yep. And so hopefully, she could come in and add another anchor to that defense. Because, look, I've talked about her all the time, but Flage, she's a great scorer. She's a decent defender too, and and so you add her, and then you add Poa, and you add some other people. It's going to be hard to get by you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what I got.
I like it.
I think that having good guard was a big thing that we needed this season. So I think that she can also keep the team from struggling against teams that score a lot, like at Murray State when they had like 60 points. Having a good defense is like a big part of widening that gap in the scoring. So
Yeah, I think so. I think Poa, her identity is definitely defense, but she's going to have to add, this is her second year here. Third year here. She's going to have to add, some shooting abilities into her play because, the defense is there and it's going to stay there. Like that doesn't go away, your ability to play defense. And if she can find a way to be, force offensively, that team just becomes
More
a lot
dangerous.
harder
More
to
dangerous.
beat. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Because she's a taller guard, like Addie said, and she said, she's a disruption on the defensive end, and that turns into offense. So just think if you could add,
and that's what I'm saying. Like when she makes those plays, and then you like we've talking about like of the depth and who you've got other people to go and score. You've got other girls on the court who can go and score. But when you add that little piece, like if she could just get like a nice little mid-range, little midi, maybe a little corner ball, corner three.
Yeah, like remember the 22 national championship.
Yeah, she was hitting.
She was hitting the
threes.
threes.
Was hitting the threes, and then she wasn't really hitting the threes
after that game. That's what I'm saying.
So,
yeah,
I mean,
finding that confidence, I guess, too.
Yeah,
is a big deal.
Because look, it's there. Like you're not just hitting threes. Like, you know what I mean? Like they don't just go in.
It's not a luck thing. It's definitely not a luck thing when she hit the threes, like contested too.
Yeah, because I bet she shoots them in practice. I bet she shoots them. Like we don't get to go see the practices, but I bet she's shooting them in practice and getting that going. So like, I think you're right. I think it's all confidence. I think it's all a mental thing, and because talent's there. She's a great player. She just got to put a couple pieces together.
Got you. But let's talk about this LSU men's basketball team now, who has surprised many eyes. Not us. Not us.
Not us. We've seen the vision.
We saw it.
We've seen the vision. Shout out Taz.
That interview is now up. We're gonna plug it real quick. That's on YouTube. But what surprised you from that win in Manhattan, Kansas?
Man,
you said it when you came into the office.
Defensive
effort.
It was all over the place, almost flawless on the defensive end, just all over, flying guys, hands. That was the best defense I've seen out of LSU in a long time. Yeah. And I've been watching LSU basketball for a little bit.
Wow.
And so that was the most impressive thing to me. And if that continues, scary, because that boy Cam Carter is a hooper.
Yes.
And so is Jordan Sears, and we got buckets now.
Yep.
And so
Vic.
Vic, sorry for hating on you against Alabama State. That's on me. I didn't know you was gonna go out and do all that. That's on me. Continue it, please. But like, I love to see it. I love to see the effort, the defensive effort, and because we just said it, defense leads to offense, that's the turnovers. That's the big thing though, is limiting those turnovers, and if they can continue to do that, it's going to be a hot start of the season.
Yep. Addie, what surprised you?
I said that it was how great the defense was very surprising, and also the fact that during this game the team really like leaned into the strengths of like each player throughout like all positions. So that was really surprising.
Yeah, we all had defense on here, and you saw the Tigers struggle a bit on that end to start the year off against UL Monroe, and obviously that was the first game, but in a game where Kansas State had plenty of scores, you held them to about 60 points, which is super impressive.
Like, that's a good Kansas State team.
That's a great
good team.
Hawkins.
Yeah.
That's the best transfer in college basketball.
And you
made him literally
shut him down.
To punch
you
Cam
made
Carter
him
after the game.
Angry. Like, come on, man. Like that's the
energy you need on defense.
And
it's frustrating.
Shout out the interview again, because Taz was talking about it in the interview, how he was like, all he wants to see is the passion, and how he wants to see LSU basketball be so good. Man,
I think those guys are picking up on that.
Those guys want to see it too, and that it all starts on that effort defensively.
Yep.
because if you're good defensively, those 3 balls, those transition
falling.
layups, they come. You know what I mean?
And I'll say, like, the physicality just itself was there. And even when there were fouls in that game, which LSU fouled a good bit in that game, but they didn't feel like bad fouls. Like, it felt like, like contested looks that they were getting. I'm completely fine with that.
Yeah.
As a defense, if you are slowing down the offense for one, also Kansas State was not making free throws at all.
If they play like that, like for the rest of the season, like
they're gonna. I told you. We tried saying.
No, I know. We tried. We tried saying that they're gonna be. Look, they are going to be a much much better basketball team than the last 2 years. Last couple of years that we've seen.
But the bad news is that so will the entire
of the SEC. So it's good to see us. But what we also said is you have to win these games. You have to play well in these out of conference games. We got
win the ones you got
coming up. That's a big one.
That's a quad one.
That's exactly. And so you down the stretch, a win against Pitt, a win against Kansas State, those becomes quad one wins that could be really big down the road.
Right. Now, how impressed have y'all been with just Cam Carter and his ability to create shots for this LSU offense? Addie, I can start with you.
I think that's like a really good thing for a player to like. It's really impressive how he that can make a difference between a win and a loss. Is like one player knowing when he has to like be open and create those shots can be a huge difference between like a player who just like
is a role player, right?
Yeah, like not doing anything. He knows that he's the player that has to make those shots happen. So it's pretty impressive of him. I mean, he's a bucket. Like he is just he's a scorer. He reminds me a tiny bit of Cam Thomas, just of like his will to score the basketball.
He's a smart player,
and
too.
he's a basketball guy. Like he has the IQ. I mean, he's a fifth year. You know what I mean? So he knows basketball. And in college basketball, having those fifth years, having those guys is really, really, really important because they have that collegiate experience. Which is.
You can't beat that, because it's of all the freshmen in the league.
It's really important because look, like you've seen it with Kentucky the last few years.
He knows when to look.
They get all those freshmen, and they haven't won anything, and that's because they have so many one and dones that you don't have any. Like, they make the tournament.
They have the talent.
But they don't have those glue guys, and that's that. That's the Cam Carter, that's the Jordan Sears, that's the Jari.
I was about to say, he reminds me of Jordan Wright last year, but for his ability to score is much better.
Yeah.
Because he is just a smart player and he's able to kind of change the game on runs, just important runs. And like you said, the experience brings so much that, a regular person just watching the game is not going to be able to see. He shoots shots that are supposed to be shot. The quality of shots that this LSU team has put up so far is very good, and that's because of the experience they have so far. So I just think, he can hit the three, but he can also draw fouls, in the paint. He's just not limited to one aspect, which is what you want on your team, especially from the guy, who's going to facilitate. But which players other than him maybe have jumped out to you?
I mean, I'm a Jordan Sears guy for sure. But honestly, for me, it's Jalen Reed. Jalen Reed has played great basketball. Yeah. He came in, high expectations. Didn't start out really great to start his career here at LSU, and this season he's really taken like another step.
For sure.
And he's becoming one of those big, tall guys in the paint that we really need. We've become like a tall, like meet me at the rim basketball team, which is all, like Damian Collins too. Like
Damian Collins, who was not good defensively last year for you,
and is now blocking shots left and right, and it's crazy. It's
Corey
awesome
Chess
to see.
defensively.
Yeah, exactly. So he had a great game too. Like you're just you've got these lengthy guys, Slenderman almost, and they're just they're playing really well. So I mean, Jalen Reed just continuing to get rebounds, getting moving the ball. If he can get 8 rebounds, 8 points, and 4 assists every night, I'm a happy man. You know what I mean? I'm a happy
you just want him
dude.
to play consistent.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I said everyone that you guys mentioned: Cam Carter, Victorious Miller, Corey Chess, Jordan Sears, Jalen Reed, and Damian Collins, who scored like 6 of the team's first 13 points at that.
Yeah, that was
game.
very surprising.
Yeah.
I like it. I have Jordan Sears because he plays so aggressive.
I love it.
And,
I said that earlier. I love
and like
it.
his size is very small for the SEC, and so I didn't know if it would translate. But he still finds ways to be the most aggressive on the court, which favors him at that point. And I also like the way Jai Bailey's been playing.
Jai Bailey's
now,
good too,
offensively,
man.
he's not going to have a great night every night. But he held Kansas State's best shooter to 2 of 6 shooting all night. Only 6 shots on the night. That's exactly what you want.
Going back to Jordan Sears, that dude is 5'11".
Yep.
In the Kansas State game, he had 15 points, 7 and 5. That 7 was rebounds, not assists. Like he had 7 rebounds as a 5'11" point guard, and he's still going to get that ball, go down the court, get fouled, get a layup. Like we talked about it when we started talking about this team. Like after the ULM game, that's what you want to see. You want to see those guys,
Be
attacking
tough,
the rim and being tough and not being scared. And these guys are not scared.
Right. Now, what needs to improve for this team to continue to win the games? Like we said, they have to win.
Turnovers. Limiting turnovers, free throws, hitting your free throws. They always
They always start slow.
They always start slow on the free throws. First half is always slow, and then they shoot 90% in the second half. But like when you shoot 50% in the first half, it's like, that's a bunch of points that you could have had. Like
left on the table.
The Alabama State game could have been put away
much quicker.
2 minutes into the second half, but you shot 45 from the free throw line in the first half. So it was, you know what I mean? So I think that is a part of it, but the turnovers are a main thing. When you get 20 turnovers in a game, it's kind of, it's sometimes hard, but when if you're turning the ball over and you've got the defensive attributes too, which is kind of happens early this season, but honestly, I haven't really seen a whole lot of issues. There's little things, but turnovers and free throws.
Yep. Okay.
I think our defense just needs to stay good throughout the rest of the season and not be like a one-time thing. Yep. And offense needs to improve a little bit because
stagnant.
Yeah.
I have just a rebounding consistently.
Yeah.
You don't want to rely on one guy like Corey Chess all night.
Right.
And I don't think they did necessarily.
Well, they had
because
guys.
Jalen Reed still did it, but you want your big guys primarily getting the ball for you. You don't want to have to rely on your guards to have to go down and get the ball.
Right.
And I think, a lot of that had to deal with Derek Fountain not being able to play in that Kansas State game. So I'll say that. But anything else you have for this LSU basketball team so far?
Man, keep playing the way. Hopefully they win tomorrow, or I don't know, maybe today when y'all are watching this, but tomorrow they play Tuesday.
Charleston
Southern, and then they go to Pitt, or not to Pitt. They play
West Virginia.
Yeah, so
weird.
That'll be. I'm excited. I'm really looking forward to this team. I don't have super high expectations, but man, the way they played against Kansas State, I'm optimistic and I'm excited to watch it.
Yep.
I think that they just need to keep building like a record of SEC competition that they're winning against for it to be really impressive for them.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else, but I think they just have to continue with the effort. As long as they play with a consistent effort, they're going to win the games that they have to, especially when, you go down into SEC play and teams are drained. Like, you want to be the guys that have way more energy than them in the second half. And I think LSU is going to be able to do that in many games. But that's going to do it for us today. Big thank you to Michael Poggi and Addison Gonzalez for joining me today. I'm Andre Champagne, and this has been the Hodges Huddle.